Welcome to the Clay Edwards Podcast, the shot of adrenaline your mornings didn't know we needed. It's now time to sit down, strap in, and turn it up to 11.
Are you ready?
I feel like Jackson, Mississippi.
As we go to war for the soul of America, your host, award-winning podcaster.
Welcome to the Jameson Haygood Show. This is Clay Edwards filling in for Jameson Haygood today. And I have got my good friend Jason Anderson with Lakeland Glass Tint sitting across from me. We are glad to be here. How the heck is everybody doing today? We are doing good. So look, Jason, it's great to have you here, brother.
Man, I'm like super stoked to be here.
So if you don't know, man, Jason is one of my good friends. He's one of the sponsors of the Clay Edwards Show and here on WYAB. And I thought, man, wouldn't it be great to have Jason just come on the show and shoot the breeze, man? I think it's important in times like these, not to know business owners, political affiliations, and all that stuff, but just to know the person you're doing business with as a human.
Yeah.
You know, and I just feel like that's really important. So I was like, hey, man, I can't think of a better guy than Jason Anderson. Me and Chad Wesley were on here last Monday gushing about what a great person he was, and found out Jameson was going to be out of town, and was like, well, hey, seems like a good opportunity to have my buddy on and talk with him a little bit about that. So Jason, what brings you out today, brother?
Man, I'm just kind of stoked to be here and hang out with you, but since you invited me on the show, I figured I'd bring you a little gift. I didn't want to tell you before we were live, but I'm going to give you a little something.
And of course, on live radio here, we drop stuff. So is this a patch?
That is a patch. So me and a good friend of mine, Brian Barlow, started a company in 2020, like a bunch of idiots, but it's actually turned out to be a great thing. It's called On Duty Unlimited, and that is our first patch. And if you notice on there, it says Psalms 144:1. That's kind of our mantra. So we try to pass those out to people we feel that are important and that kind of maybe deserved it or earned it. So now, Clay, you are held to a higher standard, sir.
Man, I need to be held to as high of a standard as possible here. So I'm going to read the Bible verse here. It's like, blessed be the Lord, my rock, who trains my hands for war and my fingers for battle. I love that, man. That is right where I'm at in my life right now, too. So
Yes, sir.
That is perfect. So one of the other things, you mentioned it, you have the On Duty Unlimited,
Yep.
you and Brian Barlow, which,
Yep.
you know, uniquely I met Brian completely separate from knowing you. And then
Right.
y'all linked up, and I guess y'all probably been friends longer than that, but come to find out y'all were friends and y'all linked up and y'all started On Duty Unlimited. So do you want to tell people what exactly that is?
Yeah, so as you know, you'll probably hear throughout the show, I'm a man of many things. I just feel like I've been blessed to do a bunch of things, but the new gig is On Duty Unlimited. So basically what happened is Brian and myself got together and noticed that the state of the world was a lot of chaos and that cops were being picked on. And in that, these are guys that have to carry guns and wear protective armor, things like that, to do a job, basically just to make a paycheck so they can live for their families. Well, the one thing we noticed that they were lacking was medical gear, like tourniquets and just all kinds of things you need for trauma-related situations. And so we started building our own kits that we carried for ourselves for years, and then now we've decided to try to help police out, and that's kind of blown up. We've got literally bags on SWAT teams all over the United States right now and all over Mississippi. We actually met with a department here local this morning, and we're going to outfit all their cars. So that's kind of where it started, and it's grown into this lifestyle thing. So now we make clothing, we have a custom holster shop, just anything that's kind of related around guns. We do firearms training, enhanced carry classes. So if it's guns or medical, we're the go-to guys.
You know, so I bought a shirt and a sticker.
Yeah.
I did. I was like, you know, kind of like how I kind of look at the Clay Edwards and the Save Jackson thing as almost a local lifestyle brand. I've had a lifestyle brand in the past. Well, I thought I did anyway.
Right.
Was still standing and stuff, but
Right.
I'm lucky to still be standing now after that. But But I think it's cool, dude. So, so you guys were set up at the gun show recently.
Yep.
Ran into y'all there. Of course, I knew you were going to be there. That's why I went. But sometimes you just want to see stuff in real life. Kind of get off the internet and go touch a product.
Yep.
Man, those holsters y'all make, man, they're the real deal.
Yeah, it's I would put us in the top 10% of holster manufacturers in the country when you're talking about the product. Everything we do is made strictly by hand. We have vacuum forming processes. Everything we've designed literally from nothing. So that's what's unique, and it is based around a professional standpoint. We don't build things for the hobbyists, but the hobbyists can use them. But this is stuff that, me personally, I carry a gun every day of my life. Every time you see me, I will have a gun on me, and it's not to harm you or anyone. It's just to make sure that you and everyone around me is safe. And with that, really kind of takes a lot of effort to wear a firearm every day. So for me, this has been a long time coming. The holster that you see today has been years and years and years in the making. So there's a lot of thought behind it, and we have a lot of guys that are in the street that are carrying our stuff, testing it, making sure we're doing the right things and it can hold up. So anything you get from us is the real deal. And just like you said, it's perfect. It's as good as they can come, but seeing it in person is when you're really like, wow.
Well, yeah, I mean, you can pick it up and hold it, and you see the functionality.
Yes.
With something as important as a holster that you're going to have on you, just like your belt, just like your pants, just like your shoes, 24/7, and typically the same one every day.
Yeah.
I would assume for the most part, depending on what you're carrying.
Absolutely.
And I was talking to somebody the other day about a program that the state of Mississippi has that we have to use at the car dealership for their titling and whatnot. It's called Marvin. And we were selling a car and the system was down over the weekend for upgrades. I was like, oh gosh, that sucks. Well, just so happens the lady that with the state was buying a car when I found out the system was down, and she works on the system.
Nice.
So she sat down with me, and it was the first time that they had the opportunity, at least from her perspective, to sit down with somebody who actually used the program from a functionality standpoint, not from the from our side, not the state side.
Yeah.
And I was telling her all these little things that grinded my gears about it. And of course, they were fixing none of that.
Sure.
they were actually making it harder to use.
Yeah.
But I think a lot can be said for actually getting out there. It's for gun people, by gun people.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's people that respect and know what your needs are.
Yeah.
Before you even realize you need it. You have how many years experience between you guys?
Well, so Brian is actually one of the largest police car guys in the state of Mississippi.
That's how I met Brian.
Hundreds and hundreds of units. So we have a lot of relationships with law enforcement. So that's kind of how we got that link together. But when you start talking about gun stuff, I've been doing gun stuff since the 90s. I've actually became a USCCA instructor 6 years ago. And then we also have other instructors on our team that have way beyond that. So you're talking 50, 60 years if you combine everyone together, all the things we've been to. And we're all different walks of life, too. We've not all been on the same path. So it's kind of cool how we've all kind of moshed together now under one mantra.
Yeah, you were telling me, or we were talking off air before we got started here, you had invited me to a enhanced carry class a couple of weeks ago. I couldn't get off work on Saturday to do that. So I was sitting there, I was like, so is that under the On Duty Unlimited umbrella? And you're like, yes, we've kind of merged with another group.
Yep.
Where we had another group, and we kind of pulled it all under the one umbrella.
Yep.
So if people want to sign up for enhanced carry classes and all, can they do all of that from the On Duty Unlimited website?
Absolutely.
And what is that address?
So it's ondutyunlimited.com. Super simple. And you can check us out on Facebook, Instagram, all of that stuff, and find all those links. There's actually a class tomorrow, and if anyone that's listening today wants to sign up, I'll be sure we get you in. But just hit us up, let us know. But you can sign up there. And what's the unique thing about that now is we're actually offering people that sign up discounts towards gear that you really need, holsters, et cetera, things like that. So you kind of get it all under one umbrella. And for us, it's not about just running people through the system. We're here to educate people.
Yeah.
So.
Well, that way you build a relationship, and it's an opportunity, just from a business perspective, to get people into your ecosystem and make them aware of On Duty Unlimited.
Yes, sir.
Make a new friend. Because I'm learning more and more. I get into kind of gun culture, and when I say gun culture, I don't mean the negative side of it.
Sure.
I mean the gun shows, the gun life, the shooting, and becoming a responsible gun owner.
Yep.
Man, it's just all walks of life. Look, we're going to take a break real quick. When we come back, I want to talk to Jason about what he sees at the gun shows from the different walks of life. I want to talk about your experience at the gun show out at WYAB with the fire department and the mayor and all that stuff.
Oh, yeah.
You guys stay tuned. You are listening to the Jameson Haygood Show. This is Clay Edwards filling in for Jameson. All right, welcome back to the Jameson Haygood Show. You've got Clay Edwards and Jason Anderson from Lakeland Glass Tint filling in for Jameson while he is out on vacation, or we'll call it assignment.
Assignment.
So before we went to break, we were talking about gun shows and all of that fun stuff. And you guys have been set up at the gun shows with On Duty Unlimited, or you may see the ODU stickers around town. And I guess that's where the abbreviation now is, where all the trendy stuff is at.
Yep.
You know, so you want a three-letter abbreviation, or however you want to say it.
LGT.
Yep,
Lakeland Glass Tint.
I joke around all the time. I have decided that LGT is the who, what, when, and where. It's the greatest name for something.
Right.
It's Lakeland Drive.
Yeah.
It's glass, and it's tint.
Yeah.
The name says it all.
That was the intent, from the beginning, was to kind of say, here we are, and here's what we do. So, I don't know. We dig it.
Yeah, I was talking with Kevin last night. He had called me up to congratulate me on something, and and he was like, yeah, man, when we started Lakeland Glass Tint, and talking about you and how far you've come, and and everything. It was just really cool, man. It was a good conversation.
That's a cool story, man. Honestly, so in 2013, we had a huge hailstorm here. You were in the car business. We were all kind of doing the car business stuff.
We just came up on the anniversary of that.
Yeah.
A couple weeks ago.
Yeah. If you ask Kevin, he could tell you the exact date, because his life, all our lives changed that day. But, man, I'll tell you, we had 40 guys working 24 hours pushing hail. I was a paintless dent repair guy back then. And in 2013, when we got done fixing a lot of the dealerships, we set up retail shop at what was Novus Glass, which is currently Lakeland Glass Tint, to push dents. And I'll be honest, I had no idea where that was going. The tax man said, our CPA was like, tax man's about to hit you over the head. So we bought Novus Glass, and then immediately changed it to Lakeland Glass Tint. A couple of years later, I bought Kevin out, and here we are.
And so that was the Dent Masters.
That's correct. Yep.
Is that brand still around at all?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Kevin actually, he was doing a storm, I want to say in Missouri, maybe last spring, something like that. So, yes, I used to push a lot of dents, man. It's just my whole body, and I'm just so busy. People don't realize, being a business owner, your time is literally the most valuable thing you have. So for me now to stop and push a dent is tough, but we do it. We make it happen for our customers that want it. Kevin comes in, I do them, so we can definitely help you out in the PDR business.
Hey, look, I was really surprised you said to being able to come over here in the middle of the day on a Tuesday.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm going to throw a Hail Mary. Maybe Jason says yes. But, hey, look, also at the end of the day, you're a smart businessman, and you understand what 2 hours of radio.
Yes, sir.
How valuable that can
valuable
be as well.
Time. There you go. So you've got me figured out already.
Hey, look, man, one thing I learned, and how I ended up in the spot of being able to get on radio, look, I'll never be the best, smoothest talker, but I was taught early on in the car business, you always want to be available.
Available, yeah.
Your availability is your greatest asset.
Yeah.
And just saying yes and being available.
Yeah.
That's gotten me probably further than any talent I'll ever have.
Yeah.
Will get me. And the same thing with you and the PDR and all that stuff. I found it very interesting. I remember y'all being set up at the dealership we were at the time. And y'all did so much business. Did you not get a motorcycle as a gift out of this deal?
Yeah, so that's a pretty cool story. Yeah, so Kevin, I've always been into motorcycles. I raced dirt bikes. I was supercross, motocross. I did all that stuff. I even was on tour with the arena cross guys for a few years. So motorcycles are big for me. It always has been.
Well, growing up, you were always doing the arena dirt cross and stuff.
So I hadn't had a motorcycle in a while, and I knew we were making some money, and I started looking at bikes like. Man, I think I may, I make a little money, I'm going to try to buy myself a motorcycle. And Kevin's like, yeah, dude, I'm going to buy one too. He says, send me some that you're looking at, and we'll kind of compare. And, dude, I'm going to tear up talking about it. So one day we're sitting there, we've been working, man, it'd been easy 10-hour day. Guy pulls up in a truck with the motorcycle that I'd been looking at. I was like, Kev, that's just like the bike I've been looking at. He said, for real? He said, we ought to go talk to him. So we walk over there. Kev whips out an envelope, pays the guy on the spot. hands him the keys. He throws the keys at me, dude. I break down in the parking lot. But yes, he did. He bought me a brand new Harley Davidson motorcycle, just for all the hard work. And for me, I've never looked at it that way. It wasn't about a reward. It was just about getting the job done.
Yeah.
Which I sad to say is kind of getting lost by the wayside today. People don't want to be available and they don't want to get the job done. But I was there in the moment, and it's worked out for me.
Loyalty is very hard to come by.
Oh yes,
too.
Yeah.
I was listening to, and I do want to circle back to the gun show stuff.
Yeah.
While we're
sure.
going down this, I told you when we got out of the car down there, I was listening to the Jocko Willink and Dr. Jordan Peterson interview that they did, about a 2.5 hour long podcast on Jordan Peterson's YouTube. And one of the things they talked about was like leadership and winning and being a SEAL and all that stuff. And like the conversation started with, well, what does it take to be a good SEAL? Long story short, it's like when you don't shortcut the team.
Oh, that's good.
When you don't put yourself in front of the team for a little short-term self-gratification.
Yeah.
Like we could do a project together, and I could maybe sneak around and make it look like I did the most work, and I may get a promotion out of that. That may work once before nobody wants you to work in their team.
Yeah.
But if you do it right and you stick to the team and you win as a team, when you do get your individual wins, the team around you is proud of you.
Yeah.
And they're not hating on you. You don't have, quote, unquote, the hater. You ain't going to hear that. The hater's going to be mad. The hater's going to be mad because everybody's happy for you when you win.
Yep.
And that was how I looked at that motorcycle thing. So when you got a free motorcycle or whatever, not a free, but when you earned that motorcycle.
It was free to me, man.
I was happy as could be for you, man, because I sat back for however many months and I watched you guys in every dealership parking lot in town bust your butts.
Yeah, it was a big deal. It was a life-changing event, and it's crazy that when you talk about hail, that when it's classified under insurance, they consider that an act of God, right? So I always tell people it was an act of God that helped change my life, and that's exactly what happened. Hail fell from the sky, and then we started working on cars, and now we're here just trying to help everybody. But what you're talking about, that team. So if you ever hear me speak or speak around all of my guys and girls, we operate in the we. There's no I's. You'll never hear me go, I did this or I did that. It's always we did this or we did that.
Yeah, when I was younger in the nightclub business, my dad was always my partner in the nightclub business. Just being young and cocky and brazen and drunk half the time. I was bad about saying I and they work for me.
Yeah.
Or, he told me, he said, nobody works for you. He's like, we work together.
Yeah.
He never said, though, there is no I and team thing, but he made it real clear. People don't work for you. They work with you.
Yeah.
And the minute you realize that and start treating everybody as one, whether it's the guy pushing the broom or the guy that's DJing or you that's writing the checks, nobody can do it without the other guy.
Yep.
Because I can assure you, I was the guy that pushed the broom and cleaned the toilets many a nights and wrote the checks and everything. But you do get a lot further in life when you start treating people equally.
Yeah.
It goes so much further.
What business owners have got to do is build a culture inside of their business of camaraderie and responsibility, and you empower people with power. You give them the opportunity to be the best person they can be, right? And that's hard to do every day, day in and day out. But dude, you don't lead from the back, you lead from the front. You operate as a team, because without that team, you're nothing. It's a done deal.
No doubt. Look, talking about that hailstorm, I went from being a 7 to 10 car a month salesman to being a 20 car a month plus salesman overnight. And it wasn't just because of the inventory of potential customers and leads. You have to learn how to be successful sometimes.
Yeah.
The work ethic it takes, the scheduling, and all of that stuff. And I think that taught you a lot about that too.
Absolutely.
You learned how hard you have to push yourself to get to where you want to go. You can write down all the goals in the world. It's like you asked me a minute ago, talking about the show going 5 days a week. You're like, well, are you going to record any of it? You're going to come out here every day? I was like, I'm going to come out here every day because I want to push it as hard as I can to be the best version of me. And you told a similar story.
Yeah, live in the moment, man. I'll tell you, and it's funny you said that. What really landed the big deal for us over there, working on the hail, is the GM called and said, hey, look, I've got 4 units that are going out in the morning. They've got hail on them. Is there any way you guys could fix them tonight? And this was like an hour after the storm happened. That's almost impossible to do. Well, you know what we did? We worked till 4 a.m. We went over there. We knocked those 4 cars out. Those 4 cars got us everything else. So put in the hard work today and see what happens.
Hey, I remember I may have very well been at that dealership.
Yeah, there's a good chance.
that it
Yeah, I
was.
think you may have been. Yeah,
You know, I believe I was, because they were 4 of the cars that didn't get completely destroyed.
Yep.
And which was out there at the Toyota dealership in North Jackson, if my memory serves me correct.
There you go.
All right, look, man, we're blowing through it here on the Jameson Haygood Show. You got Clay Edwards and Jason Anderson. We'll be right back after this break here on WYAB. All right, welcome back to the Jameson Haygood Show. You got Clay Edwards filling in for Jameson, and I've got my good buddy Jason Anderson with Lakeland Glass Tint and On Duty Unlimited sitting across from me, kind of co-hosting this together. This isn't so much about me just interviewing Jason. I think Jason's a great personality, a great local businessman, a great leader in the community, and a great man. And I think that's very important in these times, especially coming out of a trying year like 2020, to know who the real men in your life are. And I use the word men loosely, you know, just like a woman can be a leader, and be the leader of the family. I just mean who the real leaders in your family and your community are. And Jason's one of these guys who, through all the pandemic, scamdemic, and all that, never wavered.
No.
We were talking about it through the break.
Yeah.
You know, you didn't change anything.
Yeah.
Through at Lakeland Glass Tint.
Yeah, well, I'll be honest. When I tell people,
excelled.
Yeah, we almost doubled in size. You know, we hired 5 new employees, and when you talk about the money, we almost made twice as much money as we did the year prior, which is unheard of. But the thing, people always, what did you do? What did you do? What did you change? And we changed nothing, bro. And when I mean nothing, like, we didn't change the T-ball teams we were sponsoring. They may not have got to play, but they still got a check. We didn't change the money we were giving to church. We didn't change the money we were sending to nonprofits. We didn't change the money we were giving to food donations. All these things, we changed nothing. All the missionaries we support, we stayed faithful. That's what the Bible tells us to do, and that's kind of my law of the land, and that's what we stayed on. That's the path we kept on, and it worked out for us.
Yeah, so I want to clarify what he's saying there when he says they doubled money but didn't change. A lot of businesses made a lot more money, but they retracted and used the pandemic as an excuse to kind of hoard. Yeah. Like, no, man, we can't do anything. We don't know what tomorrow's going to bring. And look, everybody's business is different. I don't want to tell you you're right, wrong, or indifferent.
Sure.
But I sure do respect a guy like Jason who just kind of said, hey, look, this is what's worked for us, being a pillar in the community. You know, you said something. I want to backtrack. You said something right there that really hits home with me, and I talk about this a lot because we love to support local businesses. You mentioned sponsoring the T-ball teams and stuff.
Yeah.
I don't want to sit here and say that no major corporation or in town sponsors T-ball. My kid's not playing ball anymore. I'm not down at the ball fields. But I have to assume that 90%, 95% of the sponsorships on those T-ball jerseys, softball jerseys, and all that are locally owned businesses.
Yeah.
And you don't get that through some of these big mega corporations.
No.
You know, I don't want to say anything by name. I don't know what I'm allowed to say sometimes on the air.
Sure.
But, you know, big box store.
Yeah.
Isn't on the front of Little Susie's jersey.
And look, for us, don't get it confused. We're not doing that for advertising. We're doing it to support community. You know, I can't tell you how many prom dresses or family dinners or bicycles or things that we buy that no one ever hears about just because we want someone to have a better day or a better tomorrow or just they need somebody to believe in them. It's not about advertising at that point. It's just about giving back to the community that continues to give to us. That's what we've all got to get back to. The whole world needs to get back to that. Mississippi's kind of on the edge. Some of us do and some of us don't. We're kind of divided there, but community, we help each other out. Like, we try to source everything we can locally until we exhaust every option. If it's not, then we'll look further. But, I mean, if it costs me more, that's what I'm going to do, you know, just because I need you to support me just like you need me to support you.
I mean, that's the best stimulus you can have for an economy.
Absolutely.
Is local businesses and local people supporting each other. You may spend $10 more on something, but you're going to get that back.
Yeah.
Nine times out of 10, you're going to get that back. Even if you don't directly personally get it back, it's going to go in tax revenue to fixing a pothole, infrastructure, schools, anything. Because if we get back to schools, man, or into the youth, we're giving back to ourselves, whether we realize it or not. Which brings me to this.
Yeah.
I've been excited to talk about this. I almost said save it for the second hour. But you have a ministry called, well, you're involved in a ministry.
Yeah.
Say Something School Assembly. Y'all was taught to, excluding 2020, because school was out.
Yeah, 2020 we did. We did some in Florida, I believe, like early on, January, February type deal, and then the pandemic hit and it was over. We didn't touch a school for the rest of the year.
So from 2016 up to the start of the pandemic, y'all spoken to or performed in front of 500,000
just over
high school students or school age students.
Yep, just over 500,000. We do middle school and high school. And I'll tell you, it was kind of cool how I got involved. I got a real good friend, Bo Trebetich. He's he's done a lot of youth ministry stuff. He actually, he had his own deal here for a while.
DJ Cadillac.
Yeah, DJ Cadillac. Shout out Cadillac. So he kind of impressed upon me to come to this summer camp one time, and I did because he lured me in with, hey, let's DJ for these kids. These kids, they don't get to see anything. I was like, cool, man. And that moment kind of changed my life. We ended up DJing these huge conferences all over the state, like at the Coliseum, like thousands and thousands of kids. And I ran into a guy named Jody Dice from Brandon, Mississippi. And Jody's got a powerful story, but he's got a big heart. And he invited me to come out and DJ a school assembly. And I was like, okay, it's a lot smaller scale than I was used to. I was a professional DJ, touring DJ for a long time. So it was a smaller scale, a few hundred students here, a few hundred students there. So I did it, and man, I never looked back. It's just, that is where a lot of the problems we see in the world today start in middle school and high school. And anyone that's listening right now, anywhere these airwaves are going, have ran into an issue through middle school or high school, and then they may still have an issue today that stemmed from that. So that's where we're attacking America. We're trying to help everyone with the youth. That's where we're starting.
Okay, so tell us, what exactly is the message that Say Something is putting out there?
So we offer different types of interactive assemblies, like, you can have DJ, lightings, video, all this kind of cool stuff, but the main issues we work around are bullying, teen suicide, drug, alcohol abuse, and the big one, human trafficking. Believe it or not, human trafficking is one of the largest epidemics ever to hit Earth. And actually in 2020, we've seen that grow 500-600%. It's just crazy what happens behind closed doors. You wouldn't believe it.
No. Look, I'll tell you, I think more people are waking up to the whole the hashtag, the Save Our Children hashtag, and seeing what's really going on behind closed doors with sex trafficking and human trafficking, and slavery in one form or another is way more alive and well than people would ever think it is through the human trafficking game. You're seeing people when in lowly old Jackson, Mississippi, or Tri-County, Mississippi, you get busts of 20 and 30 people for human trafficking. Yeah. Brother, I'm telling you, if it's that bad here, imagine scaled up to one of these bigger cities.
Well, it's like the whole shine the light in the dark type of thing. You shine the light over there, you see it just a little bit. Just put it this way, just for instance, just in the schools, just in 2019 and the first couple of months of 2020, I want to say we had a board meeting last night. We were going over some things, and I want to say 168 students were mandatory reports. So what that means is, in this assembly, if a kid, or a minor, we'll say, says, I don't like calling them kids, but a minor, if they approach one of us and say something that's out of line, whether they'd been touched the wrong way, whatever, that's what we consider a mandatory report. Out of that, we've had dozens and dozens of cases of human trafficking come from that, 3 of which are on a federal level now because they've been taken across state lines. I'm telling you right now, you wouldn't believe, you cross people every single day. We always say the 3 W's. I don't want to say them on there, but the big 3 W's that people cross, where you're either eating, getting groceries, things like that, you're running into these people. You just don't realize it because human trafficking is right in front of our face. We don't recognize it because we're not educated. That's what we're doing, is Say Something. We're educating people, like, you don't have to be vulnerable to that if you know what it is.
Yeah, like, you could be blind to what's going on around you. It could be happening to you, and you being this close.
Yeah, and a lot of times it's happening to some of these students, and they don't realize it until they get too far into the game, they say. Mm-hmm. And then at that point, there's no turning back because they're controlling them by fear or money or a living situation. It goes on and on and on. But Man, I urge everyone. I'll tell you what's an even cooler thing is to see it for yourself. So my dad, Vietnam vet, he just had a birthday, turned 69. Shout out, Pop. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Yes.
Pops.
So, this is a guy that's seen life in a different way. He's been to war. He was shot down in a helicopter in Vietnam, spent 3 days in the jungle by himself. I mean, if you ever meet my dad, he's a tough dude. So we were shorthanded on one of these assemblies. So we have to set everything up, tear it down really fast. So Pop came to see a man that's been to war, that's seen death, that has been through some stuff, to be in a corner bawling his eyes out, just shows you the power that's out there. And it's the power that we have to empower the youth that is going to be the future of tomorrow, right?
Absolutely. Tell me this. So you bring up the mandatory reports and whatnot.
Yeah.
Is there a follow-up number? It's like, say this kid gets home and they're not ready to explain what's going on to them in that moment. Is there a follow-up, an anonymous website, phone call, whatever they can make down outside of just maybe going around the police where they may not feel comfortable? Maybe they feel like they have a relationship with you guys. Can they reach out to say something?
Yes. So there are legalities here, absolutely. But if you have questions or if something is happening to you, send us a DM, and then we can figure it out from there for you, hands down. You can call the number on there. We're here to help, and we're all over the country. We're just so happen to be based right here in Brandon, Mississippi.
So the whole national organization is based out of Brandon, Mississippi?
Absolutely, yes, sir.
Man, I just assumed it was a national thing that y'all were a part of, but it started here.
Absolutely. Jody Dice and Wendy Dice, they're actually missionaries, and they were called to do this mission many moons ago. They have a cool story. I won't tell their story here, but
I believe I sold Jody a car.
Yeah, you did. Absolutely, you did.
At the Honda store a couple years back. Yeah, really nice guy. Look, we're going to take a break real quick. When we come back, we're going to continue talking with Jason Anderson. He's got a crazy life. I love this say something stuff. We're going to pick up where we left off. We'll be right back on the Jameson Haygood Show here on WYAB. All right, welcome back to the Jameson Haygood Show. You've got Clay Edwards and Jason Anderson filling in for Jameson. Jameson is down at Mickey Mouse Land.
Yeah.
And he called in earlier. Apparently there's a time change, different time zone down there. I'm gonna have to mess with Jameson next time I see him. Okay, so we were talking coming into this because with the news and everything, man, you can't help but see what's going on in the world. And I think most people know that there was another shooting.
Yeah, officer-involved shooting.
Another officer-involved shooting in Minnesota. I think it's called Brookly City, which is a suburb of downtown Minneapolis. The guy's name was Dewante Wright. If y'all haven't heard it, Google it, look it up. But what we're going to talk about, Jason with the On Duty Unlimited firearms training as well. Yeah. Something that he brought up, so the story goes, and I watched the video, the female cop, they pulled the guy over. It's a story because he's African-American and she's a white cop.
Yeah.
So, but we're not going to discuss that part of that here. We're simply going to discuss the police training side of it. Yeah. It appears to be a training error. Where she thought she grabbed her stun gun, she grabbed her firearm, shot him. He drove off. The body cam footage shows her saying, "Oh crap, I shot him."
Yeah.
She thought she used her stun gun.
Sure.
Jason brought up a point that at most police stun gun is supposed to be crossbody.
Yeah, a lot of them do crossbody draw, and for that exact reason. You want your firearm to be on your strong side, whatever your strong hand is. So a lot of them do crossbody. But even then, she's probably trained a lot more with a pistol than she has that taser. So there's a good chance that she didn't have the training or the muscle memory to be able to decipher the difference. But working with a lot of police, man, everyone's got to remember they're human just like we are. I have a ton of police friends, and they put their pants on just like we do. That's just their job. I'm not classified as a tent guy just because that's what I do. But training is where I think that whole deal went wrong. What happens in bad situations is your body and your mind are trying to protect itself at all time. The mind is the most powerful thing on this planet. So what happens is when things start going bad, adrenaline starts rushing, your body starts shutting down certain things. It's trying to basically keep itself from getting harmed, either physically, emotionally, all of those things.
Your senses start shutting down. It's like if you're in a fight, sometimes you don't feel the pain.
Yeah. So it's some senses get extremely heightened, and then other senses get completely taken away. That's like I was telling you about the whole auditory exclusion thing. When bad things go wrong, your hearing will turn itself off. It's called auditory exclusion. And that's why you kind of see situations where people can't remember what were being said, or that's why, if police are kind of like screaming, they can't even hear themselves when that adrenaline things are going. That's a scientific thing. I mean, that's a real deal. And I'm 100% sure that's what was going on with her. She had all of these things going on, all of these senses being turned on and turned off. And that's where training generally takes over. And I'm not saying she wasn't trained, but it seems to me like that was probably a lack of training.
Yeah, I mean, all of the quote-unquote professionals that I've heard talk about the last 24 hours go back to saying it seemed like a lack of training thing, which, of course, that is a big area. They got all on board with defunding the police and all of that nonsense. So I'm going to just go out on a limb here and assume that when you defund the police, that training is probably extra training is probably one of the first things that gets defunded.
Yeah, so we actually have a SWAT team member on our team. That's one of our instructors, and him and I kind of talk about things like that. And it's what he, even though they get SWAT training and their department has a pretty good budget and they train them, but he even goes above and beyond that to constantly train himself to be sure he doesn't get caught in that exact situation, because when things go bad, they go bad really fast. And then you add in, you don't know what the other person is going to do. So you're just a reaction type deal. So, I feel for everyone involved in that deal, but training is a big deal.
Yeah. Look, in this current environment that we live in, and I'm going to assume that it's never going to change. It's probably only going to get worse, where these municipalities are much more insistent upon holding police to a higher standard than anybody else.
Yeah.
So if a situation happens, they got to know that I guess I'm just saying, if I was a cop, I would make sure that I eliminated every what if imaginable and protected myself, because in being in normal walks of life as average business owning Joes or average John Q citizen walking down the street, if you have to defend yourself and it involves you having to shoot another person, you then become suspect number one.
Yes, absolutely.
And that's where firearm training and stuff comes in. I hear other people on this radio program, not this program, but on this station, discussing that very thing. And it's really made my ears pucker up a lot. And it's the number one reason I moved out of Hinds County. Everybody asked me, Clay, why did you finally move out of Jackson? It wasn't the potholes. It wasn't the water. It wasn't any of that. I've dealt with that my whole life. I'm used to it. I actually don't know how to act not having those things as problems. It was my fear of, if I have to defend myself in a high crime situation area like Jackson, do I trust the Hinds County justice system to make sure that I don't go from being the victim to the criminal?
Yep. Yeah, that's the problem. What you don't realize is carrying a firearm doesn't mean I want to use it. Doesn't mean I would ever get stuck in a situation to have to use it. But keeping yourself out of those situations to where you're less likely to use it that's a good bet.
Yeah, I remember growing up, man, people always talked about, don't pull it unless you're going to use it. If you pull it, you might as well be pulling the trigger. I'm like, I don't know about that, man. I would much rather give somebody an opportunity for me to not have to use my firearm.
Yeah, I'm not going to quick draw anyone, and unless you're pointing a firearm at me.
Oh, absolutely.
There will be auditory, yelling like, hey, watch out.
Well, I mean, if I catch somebody breaking in my car, I'm not going to shoot first, ask questions later.
Nor should you. Yeah. You'll go to jail for that.
Because I'm going to tell you, I've told the story. I was quite the juvenile delinquent myself. There was a couple times I could have been shot full of holes,
sure,
breaking in a car, but I got caught.
Right.
But I went to jail. I learned my lesson. Don't steal stuff. Yeah. I was a minor. I want to throw that out there. But yeah, man, you definitely don't want to shoot first and ask questions later, or you will become the criminal.
Yep.
Man, we've got a top of the hour break coming up here in just a second. When we come back, I want to dive deeper into this, and I want to talk about this auditory exclusion stuff, because that is what I see going on with the Derek Chauvin. We will be right back here on WYAB. And it's a great day to be alive. I know y'all would much rather hear me sing.
Right? Yeah.
You got Clay Edwards and Jason Anderson here filling in for the almighty Jameson Haygood, my good brother, my good friend, my patriot. Is on vacation, filling in for him today. Little announcement here. I kind of made it on my I didn't kind of make it. I made it on my social media yesterday. They have extended, as Jameson would say, they have extended the hand of fellowship to the Clay Edwards Show here at WYAB, and we are taking it to 5 days a week.
Yeah, I think you need it.
And I couldn't be more excited. So if you're wondering who I am, my name's Clay Edwards. I run the Save Jackson social media platforms around town. We've got about 50,000 followers. I co-host the Kim Wade Show with him every Tuesday, and I have my own show here on Monday mornings from 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. Well, thanks to great sponsors and friends like Lakeland Glass and Tint, and you guys for supporting sponsors like Lakeland Glass and Tint, Dumpsters of Mississippi, Black Axis Throwing Club, Generator Power Solutions. I think those are the four main ones right now. We're bringing on Coleman Taylor Transmission as well. Thanks to guys like y'all for supporting me and you for supporting them. They've extended the hand of fellowship to 5 days a week here.
Yeah.
We will be on every Monday for a 2-hour mega show. Every Monday morning, 7 to 9 a.m. Then the rest of the week, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, will be a 1-hour show from 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. so Clay can get to his day job in time.
There you go.
And we're very excited. That's going to start on Monday, April 26th. I'm going to try to get something big together for that first Monday, something fun. And we'll see where that goes. Stay tuned. You can follow me on social media at SaveJXN across the platform. Jason, plug your social media.
Okay, so we are Lakeland Glass Tint is at LGANDT, and then On Duty Unlimited. You can just On Duty Unlimited. We're the only ones out there. And then my DJ stuff, it's DJ Yuri. That's DJURI. And then we also have a Collective Media House, so you can look us up there. Actually, Save Jackson and myself did an Uber X one time. That was pretty cool. We went and toured the Coke plant. That was awesome. Yeah,
that is on the Save Jackson YouTube, I know, and you probably have it posted on somewhere as well.
Yep.
We did, man. We're urban explorers.
Yeah.
And that's how the whole Save Jackson thing got started, was doing urban exploration and or more of like abandonment porn.
Yeah, right.
Like I can sit on YouTube and I can watch that stuff for hours. You know, just old closed down retail facilities and whatnot. Yeah. And I was like, I might not be good at much else, but I know where all the abandoned places are in town, and I'm not scared to get out there with a camera and go through it.
Yep.
As long as there's as long as there's not a no trespassing sign, that is the property of the people.
There you go.
You know, as the mayor of Jackson would say, free the land.
Yeah.
All right, look. So let's take some of the seriousness off of this. The first hour was great, but what I want to talk about, man, I want you guys to understand, when guys like myself talk about Jackson, I'm not talking about it from a place of hate. I just hate what's happened to it.
Yeah.
Jason is also born and raised South Jacksonian.
Yep.
Jason and I go back to, I know at least I was 17, 18 years old, something along those lines.
The 90s, man.
I've known him for so long that I don't remember exactly where I met him, so I told him we're just going to assume it was with Benji Randall.
Oh, wow.
Rest in peace, Benji.
Yeah, living legend, as we used to call him.
He was, man. He was a legend in life and a legend in death.
Yeah.
If you rode motorcycles or ever saw a fight on McDowell Road, if you ever saw, let me rephrase that, if you ever saw a motorcycle on one wheel for miles at a time, if it wasn't Micah Barber, it was Benji Randall.
Yeah, rest in peace to both those guys, man.
Yeah, and I always thought it was crazy that we lost both those guys, and neither one was in a motorcycle accident.
Yeah.
Benji got paralyzed in a car wreck of all things.
In top of a tree, yeah.
Yeah, and then Micah's death was a little different. We won't get into it, but just sad to see him go. But that's how long you and I have known each other, pretty much since what would have been around our senior years in high school.
Yep.
You had a Lexus back in the day, right?
I did, yeah.
I don't know how I remember that.
Dude,
What,
you remember,
ES or GS or something like that?
Yeah, and then remember the whole like lowrider thing? We used to like slam the trucks. I had the whole Mitsubishi and the Mazda
That's right.
B2000.
I was a Toyota and an Isuzu guy.
Yeah, I couldn't afford that, man. My parents are broke.
Man, speaking of lowriders, so we went out to Robinson Auto Detail in Brandon the other night. Free plug for Chris there.
Yeah, good business right there. Robinson Auto Garage, Robinson Auto Detail. They actually service all of our vehicles. Always have, always will.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. Oh, he does that rad cruise in once a month. First one he's had a chance to do since the pandemic happened.
Yep.
And man, we went out there Friday night, and I was just blown away at all the vehicles. I ran into an old buddy of mine. I say an old buddy. Somebody I've known for 30 years, never had a crossword with. We call him Super Dave.
Wow, Super Dave. I haven't heard that since maybe the 90s.
So I posted a picture. Super Dave built during the pandemic and during his downtime, he built a retro mini truck.
Okay.
And he kept it true to the 90s.
Traditional. Okay.
I mean, it's got the scallop paint jobs.
Is it for sale?
I hope. It's an old school Datsun. It's not the hard body. It's the body style prior to that. The 85.
Something like that, yep.
I think it was 83 or 85. Anyways, there's pictures of it on my personal Facebook page. But I ran into him, man, and it was just, it was such a great vibe. It took me back to McDowell Road.
Nostalgia.
Of all the vehicles there, I mean, there was $100,000 vehicles.
Yep.
There was fully restored 69 Camaros and these cool rat rod trucks. Shout out to Rob. I think it's Rob Hathcock. He showed up with a
Hathcock. Yeah,
he showed up with a couple of his rat rod trucks.
Yep.
Man, that dude, he has got an eye for the rat rod stuff.
Yeah,
like nobody.
Him and Cody, man, they build good. They build good trucks. So say something. We have a huge car show every year.
Yeah.
We did not have it last year, and they've come year after year. Good set of dudes, and they bring the noise with them, man. So shout out to those guys. And
I took some pictures of it. They showed up in this. It's a Ford Ranger, but it's like an old F-Series,
yep.
Full size truck, and the rear windows, it was rebar, but it looked like a jail cell.
Yeah.
And anyway, man, just real cool. I'll post those pictures on the Save Jackson page later that I took the other night. But it got me to thinking. I knew you were coming on the show, man. So I've been real nostalgic about McDowell Road and lowriders and our friends that have passed,
yep.
and it just Jackson in general about how it just went awry.
Yeah, I think people. I watch your platform, because you and I have been buddies a long time, man. And I watch your platform, and I think people kind of take you the wrong way. They see what you say, but I don't think they understand where that passion comes from. Like, we've been in Jackson when Jackson was cool, it was nice, it was upbeat, and we've seen the degradation that's happened over this span of 25-plus years. And I think that's part of where your disdain comes from, because you were there when it was good, and you've just seen it, slowly just fade away.
Yeah, and I stayed.
Yeah, you've been. I left a long time ago, dude.
Yeah, and I wish I would have, but I wasn't very consistent always in my life about everything. I'd get hot on something and roll with it, or I get cold on something and turn my back on it and get mad and change jobs or whatever. And somewhere along the way, about 5 years ago, I was like, I'm going to be consistent in every aspect of my life.
Yeah, it's hard to do.
If you're going to get the same clay on Monday morning that you're going to get on Sunday morning.
Yeah.
Back to back, best and worst day of the week, right? Sunday, praising with Jesus, no work. Monday, back to the grind.
Yep.
I want to be consistent. I want you to know you can pick up the phone and call me all the time, and I'm the same guy no matter what.
Yeah.
But one thing I was consistent with is I stayed in Jackson.
Yeah.
I love Jackson. But I've reached a point where I'm more angry about the bad things that have happened than I can ever be happy about anything good that happens around here. It's not that I don't see the good, like with what the people with Shower Power, Mary Ann, and them are doing.
Yeah, I personally know her. Great person, great human. Yeah,
I love what they're doing, and a lot of times I don't talk about some things because I know that sometimes my brand can be perceived as toxic when it's really not.
Yeah.
I don't articulate things the same way online as I somehow do on the radio or in person. You don't hear the inflection in somebody's voice. I just kind of
people read and see what they want. That's the problem. Is they don't see the culmination of all the bad stuff. They look at just he's talking about this one thing instead of looking at the 100+ murders we've had, or the person that was robbed and killed for a jacket or a pair of tennis shoes. I mean, they look at each instance instead of looking at the whole thing. there's a lot going on. You're not talking about just one thing. You're talking about everything.
Pretty sure I saw something this morning about 2 kids being shot in Jackson overnight or this morning or something along those lines. You know, my WLBT notifications, people talk about me being negative, and this isn't a knock on WLBT, just news in general.
News in general, yeah.
People don't want good news. You may think you do. You're not. If you get a push notification to your phone and it said somebody won an award today or somebody got a scholarship or somebody's garden won best yard, you're not clicking on that.
Yeah.
You don't care. But if it says murder, crime, car exploding, something like that, man, you're clicking on it immediately.
Yeah, I'd love to see like a Netflix documentary or something of like the evolution of basically the news, like what news was like in the 60s and the 70s, 80s, 90s, all the way to today. And I think you could really kind of show this narrative that we've seen kind of unfold in front of us to this negative or wow, look at me news that we live in today.
Yeah, and I believe that it started on 9/12/01, the day after 9/11. News became way more opinion than it did news.
Sure.
And it slowly shifted that way. And then when Trump came in, or the Trump campaign started in 2015, the left-wing side of it lost their minds.
Yeah.
The right side followed them right off the cliff. And all news is now is just, here's what happened, but here's our opinion about how we're going to politicize it no matter what. You see it with quote-unquote mass shootings. It's always got to fit a narrative. And the second that narrative doesn't fit in the puzzle the way they want it to, you don't hear about it no more.
Yeah.
It's like we were talking during the break about school shootings.
Yep.
He's like, you went to Wingfield. There were school shootings all the time.
Oh, dude, I can tell you just a quick story. When I was at Wingfield, late 90s, mid to late 90s, and the quarterback, his name was Johnny, and he was a good friend of mine. And long story short, Johnny and another guy had an altercation a day or two before over some stolen goods that someone had stole from Johnny. Well, we're all hanging out in front of the school at Wingfield right before the bell rings, just the whole school. This cat rolls up in a minivan, slides the door open, and opens fire on everyone, trying to hit one guy. And this is in the 90s. You know, you don't see that in the newspaper. You don't see that on the news. So everyone is under this idea that school shootings are new. This has been going on for years, and this wasn't all the time. I can remember being locked in a room at Wingfield because a boyfriend was upset looking for his girlfriend with a 12-gauge pump shotgun walking through the halls. I mean, you know what I'm saying? This is in the 90s. This is 20-plus years ago.
You know, and one of the things that seems to be a recurring theme, and I don't want to sit here and throw the baby out with the bathwater and say that everyone fits this narrative, but one of the things is, and it goes back to your assembly, to your say something,
sure,
bullying.
Yeah,
that is something that pushes a lot of these kids over the edge to, and I'm not saying that's ever a justification for going and killing somebody, but if this bullying goes unchecked, these are the things, these are your worst case scenarios folding out, and your best case scenarios are them just living their life in misery. Yeah. I mean, when I say best case scenario, I mean, if it goes unchecked, you know, you hope that's all that happens is the kid just has to deal with depression the rest of their life instead of shooting up their classmates.
Yeah.
If there's bullying going on, or if your child is a bully, you know, say something to your children. Is that something y'all cover in there?
Do you hear what you said? Say something.
Yeah.
That's where we're at. Absolutely. So my portion of, you know, I'm a motivational speaker and I do speak to the students, is my portion of it is about bullying. You know, I grew up in a home where we didn't really have a lot. My mom and dad both worked, you know, really hard jobs, and they provided for us, but we didn't have brand new sneakers. We didn't have new cars. You know, my mom and dad shared a vehicle. A lot of our clothes were hand-me-down, and I got picked on for that. And it affected me in some ways, but I think for me it affected me in a way that it made me stronger. And, you know, to not put value in other people's opinion of myself. My opinion of myself is really what matters. So bullying, I think, is the root of all of it.
No, it absolutely is. I think to any time in my life that that I quit something at a younger age, it was because I felt intimidated or bullied or whatever.
That's it.
All right, look, we're going to take a break real quick. We'll be right back on the Jameson Haygood Show. You've got Jason Anderson and Clay Edwards with Save Jackson. All right, welcome back to the Jameson Haygood Show. You've got Clay Edwards from Save Jackson and the Clay Edwards Show, as well as Jason Anderson from Lakeland Glass and Tint, Unduty Unlimited, and Say Something.
School Assembly.
I want to say like saysomething.org or what is the website for Say Something?
So it's saysomethingschoolassemblies.com. We make it simple, man.
I like it. The name says it all. Saysomethingschoolassemblies.com.
Yep.
You know, I hate it when businesses try to outsmart the room with the way they spell their business or the name or whatever. And that's kind of a poke at myself there for spelling it Save JXN instead of spelling it Jackson.
Right.
But I think it's universally recognized that I don't want to say I invented the JXN because I stole it from the airport.
Yeah.
But I'm one of the first people to really put it out there. I'm going to pat myself on the back there.
I dig it. Yeah.
You know, everybody else around here does. I might as well.
Might as well.
So during the break, Jason and I were talking about just how long we've known each other and about how our careers have always kind of been lined up in one form, fashion, or another, and we've ended up working together or being able to help each other through our different careers.
Yeah.
So one of Jason's first jobs, he is a DJ also, club DJ.
Yep.
Music producer and all of that stuff, and he goes by DJ Yuri, and been solid through that. That's been the name since day one.
Yep.
Real quick, what is the Yuri?
So, that's a wild story. So, back in the 90s when I started, I was 16, 17, getting into music. And so at 17 years old, I'm like, okay, I want to be a DJ. Well, back then, no one used their real name, right? Everyone used pseudonames, blah, blah, blah. Well, dude, I had no clue, right? So, of all places, a friend let me borrow a baby book. So I'm just like baby names. And it's like thick, like an encyclopedia. So I'm just scrolling through. Well, I come across Yuri. So what Yuri is Yuri is an archangel, right? So I used to have a label called Archangel Records, and it was all kind of this bass type thing. We kind of made it all the same, right? And Yuri is the angel of music and light. So I just like, this is it. You know, I'm going with it, and it's stuck with me. Since the 90s, man. I'm still gigging it today. Actually, you can catch me at Martin's on May the 15th, headlining a show there, so it'd be pretty cool if you want to come by. Yeah. See a different aspect of me.
You know, isn't it fun? It's got to keep you grounded through all the other business stuff to have that artistic outlet.
Yeah, music is the key for me, man. Like if I'm feeling bad or upset, it's just, you know, play a track and it makes me feel better. And I found out that is the way with a lot of people. So I've done that as a way of just spreading my light through the world, making people happy. And I made a living at it for a while. I got to tour. I've been to Europe. Had a lot of fun doing it. I don't get to do it as much now, you know, because being a businessman. But I do get to. I do have a pretty decent following of people that just want to see me play. So I do them when I can.
Hey, I remember when I was helping run Club 110. We brought you in. Well, you rented the club from us one night and brought in all the 3D mapping and the screens and all that stuff. And it was one of the coolest productions I'd ever seen. I actually wish you had never done it because I wasted a lot of money trying to replicate that after you left. And I was like, you know what? Sometimes just let the headliners do their thing and don't try to replicate that because it can steal the magic. But man, it was so cool what you did,
dude. So that's a cool story because that's when I was first trying to like get back into the music game. I had just met my now current wife, and we were madly in love, and that affected my music. So we started a tour called Love Made Me Do It Tour, and at the time, DJ Cadillac, shout out Bo, owned a special effects company. So we brought in all these cryo cannons, and my friend Gandhi up there at Guitar Center, he came through and did a bunch of mapping for us, and we tried to transform the place into something totally different, and that was the start of like a 10-stop tour or something, which ended up being fairly successful. But if you remember, that very night, we had like this huge tornado, so the numbers were down, and I was talking to my manager and all that, trying to figure out like, hey, I don't know if this tour is going to fly. You know, this is stop one. This is the big one. And, you know, the place isn't packed. Come to find out it was because of a tornado.
Yeah. A tornado got us on another event down there, too, where we brought the midget wrestling.
Yeah. Shout out Kyle, too, because Kyle, you hooked me up with Kyle on that deal, man, and rest his soul, too, man. And I remember being with him, and he was like, what is all this junk you're bringing in here, dude? Like, are you going to get all this out? So surely miss that dude, but...
Yeah, man. You know, we've lost a lot of good people around here. That we are not better for losing these people. The town lost a bit of its soul with some of these people.
Yep.
Okay, so back to how we know each other from the club scene. So both of our first jobs ever, come to find out, was both working at Miss Inez's
Yeah.
on Bailey Avenue.
Yeah.
I worked the door, sitting beside Miss Inez, mainly because she was just trying to keep me out of trouble and set me there and let me check IDs.
First time I ever got sprayed in the face with mace.
Only time I've ever been sprayed in the face with mace was on Bailey Avenue. Her and Big Ace.
Yep.
Spraying
that's right.
mace.
Yep. Yep.
You know,
Big
so-
Chops. I remember old Big Chops. That's back when he was huge. I was a backup DJ. I was literally a nobody. I just got to play a few records a night, and I was really young. Shouldn't have been there. But
me either.
That was when clubbing in Jackson was fun, dude.
Oh man, you had a bunch of white kids down on Bailey Avenue
Yep.
in the '90s, and nobody thought twice about it.
Nope.
Now if this is where I get in trouble. Now if I see a bunch of white people roaming around Bailey Avenue, I'm like, how far off the cliff are they on meth, pushing all their belongings up and down the road?
Especially in that location, you drive past that building now, and it's like, hey, I used to DJ in there, and you're like, what?
Man, that building felt like an arena.
It did, and
when
it's
we were
tiny.
kids.
Yeah, it's
I know,
tiny.
you look back and it was tiny, but it wasn't nothing to put. God knows what the fire code was, probably 200-300 people.
Yeah,
I mean 1,000 people on any given night.
Easily. Yeah.
So what it was Steven?
Yeah.
What's the other
Stephen
DJ?
Barnett, he was a big one, and then what's the guy's?
DJ Hands.
Yeah, Hands. Yeah,
the Mississippi
Mafia. That's
DJ.
right. Yep, that's right.
And to me at that time, I thought they were just super duper stars.
Yeah.
I mean, because at the time, there wasn't no internet. If you heard somebody on the radio, it was cool. And then if you met that person in real life, it was even cooler.
Yeah.
It's like, oh man, they're on the radio.
Yeah.
You
Dude,
know?
I remember. You remember 95.5 The Beat?
I do.
I used to be on
and all them.
Dude, I used to be live on that radio station every Friday night or something, live from the club. And dude, it was so hard to play the right music, because you didn't want to offend the radio people. You had to watch the whole cuss word thing. So man, what a simpler place and time. But
it was, man. We had some really good times. We had Buffalo Chips out on the reservoir.
Yep.
Shortly after that, my first foray with Chip into the club business, and we'd have them out there live every Thursday night for college night.
Yep.
And man, it was absolutely insane.
Yeah.
And that's something like with my show that I've wanted to bring back a little bit is obviously I'm not doing live remotes at nightclubs. I don't think my demographic is out in nightclubs too much anymore. But I do want to bring that local feel of a radio DJ back.
yeah.
To where I'm out and about and we go and we do events. This is something Kim Wade and I have talked about too, is kind of getting out and doing events and stuff, because we did my show launch party.
Yeah, I was about to mention that.
Had about 150 people or so show up out to Black Axes. I'm not saying they were all there for me, but it was still a fun vibe.
Yeah.
And it was cool. And it was like, hey, I think this is something we could start doing once a month or so, and get people out. You meet people, you build a relationship with people, just like what you were talking about when you sponsor a T-ball team and stuff of that nature.
Yep.
No different than me going out to one of my advertisers and throwing a party at if it's a bar or a restaurant. I think that's giving back. I think that's an obligation you have.
Yeah.
To do that stuff. So we transition from the nightclubs. We both get into the car business eventually, in one form, fashion, or another.
Yeah.
I'm on the sales side of it. You're doing the dent repair.
Yep. I was a vendor. Yeah, I did a bunch of dent repair at dealerships. Literally, pretty much, I would say 80 to 90% of the dealerships in town at the time. But that is we linked back up again there. I was like, is that Clay?
Yeah.
I was like,
It's funny, man. We've always kind of the 6 degrees of separation, always in the same room together, but maybe not running in the same exact pack at the same time. But we've always been friends and always known each other. So we did become pretty solid friends at that point.
Yeah.
We've hung out rather consistently since. You and Bo even DJ'd my wedding.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, dude, I'll be honest. When I first saw, hey, I'm getting married, blah blah, I legit looked to see if it was April the 1st. I was like, this dude's like pulling one over. And shout out to Crystal. I'm so sorry you got to deal with Clay, because.
It's funny. It was April, because thanks to Facebook memories making me look like the astute husband, I noticed today was our 2-year anniversary of getting engaged.
Yeah.
And it was supposed to happen at a Chad Wesley concert down at Martin's. I was going to get on stage and do it like all dramatically.
Yep.
And I froze up and got nervous and just waited till we got home and did it.
Come on, you didn't freeze it, did you? Really,
I did.
Chad? I know you're listening. Don't. How'd you let that happen?
I snuck out while he was playing.
Oh,
we
man.
We talked about it the other day.
Right.
Yeah, I was supposed to get up there. Aerosmith is Crystal's favorite band.
Yeah.
And they were going to do an Aerosmith song. It's either she going to kick my butt that I can't
Stop
remember.
talking.
Yeah, that's her favorite song.
Yeah, there you go.
They were going to play it. It was Angel. And I was going to propose. But anyway, long story short, I was like, you ready to go? I'm ready to go. I got to get up early. I did it later
that may
night.
not have worked out well for you. She may not have liked the whole spotlight thing.
Yeah, she's a little more reserved, but she picks at me about it. She's like, I can't believe you didn't do it. I'm like, oh, come on now.
And Chad Wesley, let's shout out to that dude too, man. He is like one of the coolest human beings I know. I love that guy like a brother, man.
But look, man, people all the time are like, man, do you not know anybody else that plays guitar? You always talk about Chad Wesley. I'm like, well, man, I'm kind of drawn towards people who.
I don't know anyone that plays the guitar like Chad. I know a lot of guitar players, just being in the music. I know a lot of really good guitar players. But, man, when that dude starts ripping, you can tell it's coming from the soul. It's not a learned trait. It's genuine.
Well, of course that. But it's also the fact that he sees the business side of stuff. And I love hearing he's constantly growing as a businessman and an artist. And it's cool to watch those two things because it's called the music business.
Yep.
And to watch Chad navigate those waters, and he's dealt with adversity himself, and he's bounced back from it. And every album is more successful than the previous in a time where artists don't make albums.
Yep.
Chad has a huge overseas following. Like, I would love to end up in Europe with Chad at some time.
Hey, Chad, let's go on tour.
And
I'll open up for you.
It would be, like if you go walk the streets in Europe with Chad, it would be like walking the streets with somebody really famous.
Yeah.
It would be really cool. Well, look, man, as usual, we've blown right through this segment here. We're going to take a break here on the Jameson Haygood Show. You've got Clay Edwards and Jason Anderson. We'll be right back. Feel a good one coming on here. We start to land this plane a little bit. You got Clay Edwards and Jason Anderson with Lakeland Glass Tint. We are filling in for Jameson Haygood, who is on assignment at Disney World.
Right. Take me with you.
Man, look, I have not been on a vacation like that since I was a kid.
Dude, we did an adults trip a couple of years ago. I don't know, 5 or 6 of us flew down to Orlando and rented a condo. It was pretty fun going, because I used to go there a little bit when I was a kid. To go back now as an adult and see it, it's still magical, even as an adult. So highly recommend adults trips to Disney World.
Yeah, Crystal and I and the girls did take a 4 or 5 day vacation to Gulfport. Well, not Gulfport, Ocean Springs, and rented a beach house like Fontainebleau, that area back there.
That's nice.
And, man, once you get back there, there's really it's a ride. It's basically like coming out here to Florida from Jackson to get to civilization, which as I've gotten older is right up my alley.
Yep.
Like, take everything we need.
Yeah.
And there was a grill there.
Yep.
Man, we had a pool. It was a little cool, even for May or June or whatever it was. But anyhow, I digress. Really good time. But that's about the only real vacation I've been on. And, of course, we went to Gardner Minshew's last college game at the Alamo Bowl in San Antonio. Me and Crystal and Jake Wimberly and his girlfriend piled up and went down there, and Beaver. And that was a great time.
Yeah.
But those are like the only two real quote-unquote vacations I've been on in my adult life.
Yep.
Other than a one-nighter for a concert to New Orleans and Memphis or wherever.
Look, let me tell you. So my wife and I went to Paris late December 2020. Yeah. So what was crazy is we go to Paris. It was like our 5th anniversary, wedding anniversary.
Post-pandemic?
This is right when it's getting ready to kick off.
19.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, 19. Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
Okay.
So, sorry. Yes. So we get there, right? When we get checked in, I don't speak French, I'm English, right?
I speak South Jackson.
Right. Yeah. So I'm a country guy here, and I'm huge apparently because Parisians they're a lot shorter than me. I'm a big guy, 6'3", 220. So the day before we get ready to leave, the whole city goes on strike. So no trains. That's how they all get around. Trains, taxi, all that. Like, we're done. Dude, the airport's like 10 miles from where we're at in the center of Paris. So we're like, how are we going to get home? So they're starting to cancel flights, like pilots. They're all going on strike. Luckily, like last minute, our hotel got us a ride, got us a bus, got us to the airport, and we caught the last flight out of Paris for 2 weeks. So we'd have been stuck for another 2 weeks in Paris.
And I'm guessing that's not a cheap. They weren't going to just let y'all stay for free because you were stuck.
No, sir. No.
So, what's Paris like, man? I've never been out. Obviously, I've never been out of the country. I've never been further north than Nashville.
Yeah, Paris, man, it's pretty awesome. Paris has a height requirement on buildings. So everything is like the same size outside of like the big monuments and stuff like that. I'm a big history dude, so I loved it. Getting to see things that were just super, super old, I thought was really cool, and being places, that famous people were. I guess that was cool too. And my wife loves Louis Vuitton, which that's the home of Louis Vuitton. So of course that. By the way, gentlemen, do not leave your wife alone in a Louis Vuitton store in Paris. My wife ended up somehow on the third story, the bottom floor, probably 50, 60 people easy. Second story, I don't know, 20 people. Top story, me and her. That's it. So that was a bad go, but we had a good time, man. Paris is cool. If you ever get a chance, take your wife there. City of Love, you'll love it.
I do want to get over there sometime. It's going to be long after all of this pandemic stuff, not because I have a care in the world or a worry in the world about catching COVID necessarily, knock on wood, but because of all the crazy lockdowns.
Restrictions,
and just crazy restrictions. Yep. Well, so which brings me to this. We were going to talk about this earlier, but got sidetracked. Let's talk about running a business during COVID and speaking of restrictions and all that stuff. So aside from the growth and whatnot that you saw, and you're lucky enough to be on the Rankin County side of the river, which talk about the other side of the tracks, especially as far as the restrictions and whatnot. Like Jackson's still under a mask restriction and this and that and the other. Whether it's enforced or not, it's irrelevant, but they're there. Yeah. How hard has it been to deal with that and to deal with the public and everybody's different perceptions? If you as a business want people to wear a mask and the people that offends, like myself, or people who get mad at you because you don't require a mask, whether it's the law or not, or mandate or not. Right. How's it been juggling or navigating those waters? So
at first, our biggest concern in the beginning was like, okay, how do we be sure we can keep all of our employees employed, or are people going to still come to us? And then we tried to follow basic guidelines that they were saying, hey, if there's a mask mandate, we posted a sign, wear a mask. If someone came and didn't want to wear a mask, we operate off iPads. I'd come out to their car. We really juggled it to make sure that nothing really changed for the end user. And I think that may be why we did so well, because we tried to cater to everyone, which is really hard to do as a business owner. But then you start looking at supply chain shortages and the government starts offering all this free money. Look, hey, don't go to work. We're going to pay you all this unemployment. So you got to navigate workforce, which luckily we got a great team, and I didn't have that out of anyone. But it was a thought that at any moment, a few of these guys or girls could just leave and go sit at home and make, whatever whatever the money is. I
think it was.
In Mississippi, that's a lot of money. In California, that's not. I mean, so that thing, it was wild, but navigating people's emotions, I think, is because everyone operates in fear and through the pandemic. I am not a person that operates in fear. We go by a deal where we say we don't have problems, we have solutions. So if there's an issue, we fix it every single time. And that became an issue, the whole mask thing. So there was a good portion where all we did was drop-offs. We closed our waiting room. We have a very small waiting room with a high workload, so we're thinking about the end user safety. We want to think about the client safety. We don't want to put you in a weird spot. But then as it progressed, you started to see that maybe some of these stipulations and rules and regulations were for naught, were just kind of smoke and mirrors. So then we allowed our customers to just do what they want. If you want to wear a mask, go right ahead. If you don't want to, go right ahead. Especially the day that the mask mandate was taken down, we literally ripped the sticker up and set it on fire in the parking lot. Just as a kind of like, I'm glad this is done, but I think we're far from this. We're done.
Have a funeral for the mandate.
Right. But I think even now we're still navigating that because of the whole supply chain shortage, which we're seeing across the board in anything right now.
Yeah. So in the car business, I'm in the used car side of it, obviously. And you talk about supply chain. So we buy a lot of cars. Yeah. Pre-owned vehicles from wherever we can get them from, trusted sources, and foreign cars that don't source parts in America. Yep. You were seeing a big problem, especially European. Yeah. It goes back to what about Paris and restrictions and this, that, and the other. Whether intense lockdowns, we'll use BMW as an example. Germany was really hardcore locking down, and a lot of those parts coming from there. Yeah. You may have a BMW that you have, and it may sit back in the back waiting to go through the service department so you can get it ready to sell. Maybe it's missing an alternator or just something random. Well, you might not be able to get that part.
Yep.
Or maybe it's a lifter or something very exclusive that's got to come from the manufacturer. And you can't get it because of the lockdowns and the supply chain shortages and whatnot. So it's been very unique to see that side of it and watching businesses navigate through that. And I think when we get through this, and it's almost like you really wish that the government would allow business to dictate the policy.
Yeah.
Because let a business owner have to figure something out to continue to make money, and they will figure it out versus government telling businesses how to dictate.
Yeah. You know Daniel Freeman, right?
Absolutely.
So Daniel Freeman, him and I were having a discussion the other day. He actually sits on the board with me at Say Something School Assemblies, and we were having a discussion the other day that whole thing was survival of the fittest. You really found out who the people that had foresight to kind of see what should be 5 steps ahead, and the guys that really wanted to stand up for their business. And then you got the guys that tucked their tail and ran and basically, closed their business or hoarded the money or tried to file for all different things they really didn't need or deserve. So to all the business owners out there that have survived so far, shout out to you. That's big.
It goes back to the leadership stuff that we spoke of earlier. And that is what I've been talking about on my Facebook for the last couple of days. I talked about it on my show yesterday. Early on, it didn't take long. It's like when you first meet a new girl. Yeah. It takes them about 30, 45 days at the most to hide their crazy.
Yeah, yes.
You're going to see the real them.
Yeah.
30, 45 days in. Yeah. I mean, if they make it 60 before their crazy comes out, they've done really good.
Yeah.
Same thing happens in adversity.
Yeah.
You're going to see pretty quick into it who's built for this and who's not. And you see that with business. And what I was trying to say was I think it's going to be really unique as we get a little further removed from this. We're going to hear all the stories start to come out. People are going to feel safer about telling their version of what happened. And some of it still, I think a lot of businesses are like, hey, I don't want to tell everybody exactly what I'm doing yet because I feel like it's giving me an advantage.
Yeah. But
once the dust settles, I think you're going to see a lot of people come out and be like, well, here's what we were able to do.
Yeah.
And there will be books like Vince Lombardi's coaching book and leadership book. There will be books written by business people about this era.
Yeah.
When we get down the road, that will become pillars of business training and management training.
Yeah. I've always heard this saying that says if you made a list of people that you could count on, would you be on that list? And most people are like, what does that mean? For us, when the pandemic, we pushed all of our chips in. It wasn't let's reserve and let's see what happened. No. We bet on ourselves. So to all the ones that survived and kept it going, I mean, I know what the struggle was to take that, and it seemed to work out.
All right, we're going to pick right back up where we left off here on the other side of this break. You're listening to the Jameson Haygood Show on 103.9 WYAB. All right, welcome back to the Jameson Haygood Show. You've got Clay Edwards and Jason Anderson here. If you don't know me, I have the Clay Edwards Show here on WYAB 103.9 WYAB every Monday from 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. We will be expanding to 5 days a week starting on Monday, April 26th from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. on Mondays, 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. the rest of the week. We're getting ready to hand the reins over to the radio strongman, Kim Wade, coming up from 4 to 6. Jason, tell everybody how they can find you.
So you can check us out at LakelandGlassTint.com. You can check us out at OnDutyUnlimited.com. Or if you want to change the world, you can check us out at SaySomethingSchoolAssemblies.com.
So I love to say something. When y'all are starting back, you're going to be doing the Rankin County schools, all of them?
Yeah, we're going to do all the Rankin County schools.
Middle school and high school?
Yeah, I want to say October. I should probably know this because I was in a board meeting last night, but I think October, November. So I'd like to have you out, let you check one out in person and change your life. Yeah,
man, I would love to come, speak of this stuff. I was telling the youth minister at at church the other day that I'd love to come in and talk to the youth. If anybody's interested in getting into media, a podcast, whatever, that I just started doing this less than a year ago as far as talking on a microphone or in front of a camera. Yeah. And that good enough, I say it, if I can do it, anybody can do it. And I wish somebody had pointed me in this direction earlier. Which I was always doing something in the public with the clubs or the car business or using social media. How I never really pulled it together to learn how to get a message out there, I'm not quite sure. Maybe it was from watching guys like you and getting a little bit of inspiration.
Constantly grinding, man.
It is. Look, we mentioned his name a couple times. Give a shout out to our mutual friend, Bo, DJ Cadillac Trebetich. Great guy. Jason and I probably wouldn't see each other as much as we do if it wasn't for him.
No doubt.